Hey everybody, welcome to Go Bold. My name is Jody Atariwala and I am your host. And today I am very, very happy to welcome to the show Captain Samuel "RaZZ" Larson, the team lead for the United States Air Force F-22 Raptor Demo Team. RaZZ, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. I'm totally excited for this. I just saw a routine that you did. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
You know, the Raptor is an amazing aircraft, the only fifth generation air dominance aircraft in the world. What a show, what a jet. Like, I mean, you know, as I do with all of my guests, I start by asking, what made you join the military and what made you pick the branch that you did?
Absolutely. Long story short, air shows. I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, had a hometown air show. I grew up very close to that airport that hosted that air show. Went every year growing up and had jets flying over the house. Was hooked immediately and started meeting pilots and crews from demo teams like the F-22 Demo Team. And that's really what illuminated a path forward for me. Without air shows and demo teams, there's no way I would have found my way to this, because it's tough to navigate that path of how do you get there. And so I needed a lot of mentorship and advice and took that to heart at a young age. Originally thought I was going to be a Navy pilot, and then saw a Raptor demo and really changed my perspective on things, and decided to go the Air Force route for the hope of maybe getting to fly an aircraft like this someday. Again, air shows what got me started, and Raptor demo what got me to go Air Force.
You know, and here we are at an air show, and
Yep.
you are a demo pilot. Like,
Yep.
I mean, it's cool how things happen in life, right? Like,
Absolutely.
if you apply yourself. And for, you know, we hope that this channel is inspiring to people, anyone that watches who wants to consider a career in uniform, that, you know, your dreams can come true.
Absolutely. And we're out here to kind of share the story. We're not so much recruiters as we are just, we want to pay forward that inspiration that we received at a young age and show people that it's very doable. If you apply the right work ethic, the right attitude, you can do it too, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, right on. That is so cool. So talk to me about the F-22 Demo Team. Well, how about we start with talking about the F-22 writ large, kind of from a big top picture. You know, how many in the fleet? Where are they based?
Yep. So about 180 F-22s in the fleet total, based out of Alaska at Elmendorf, in Virginia at Langley Air Force Base, and then in Hawaii at Hickam. So really 3 bases. F-22 has been combat ready for coming up on 20 years now. flying in the Air Force, introduced as the world's first 5th generation fighter. And now it's still the premier air dominance platform in the world. So it's a phenomenal jet, and I've been very, very privileged to fly it. I've been flying it for about 7 years now, my whole active duty career flying.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great career. So for people that might be wondering, thinking that this is an air dominance aircraft and that the F-35 is newer, how would you compare and contrast the two, just to educate the viewers?
Absolutely. A common misconception that the F-35 was introduced as a replacement for the Raptor. They were always meant to work hand in hand. And so F-22 air combat is our bread and butter. And so thinking stealth capabilities as well as the super maneuverability, the air-to-air loadout that the F-22 carries, all designed really for air-to-air combat to be our primary mission, whereas the F-35 was introduced to be primarily surface attack, suppression of enemy air defenses. So both aircraft extremely stealthy and work together very well. When F-35s and F-22s are on the leading edge of a fight, they're looking at everything on the ground, taking care of that. We're looking at everything in the air, taking care of that. And they work hand in hand very well.
Yeah, right on. So let's talk about the F-22 Demo Team now. This is your second year in the team.
Yes, sir.
And talk to me about the makeup of the team, because I think it's a lot more, it's a lot smaller than I think a lot of people would probably think.
Absolutely, yeah. We have about 8 personnel from the team here in Abbotsford, Canada, with 2 jets that we borrowed from Alaska. So we don't own any airplanes. We borrow different jets each and every week for each show we go to, which is challenging. And so we're picking up jets from different places, different variants as far as upgrades on the jet that we're using. And with this small team of maintenance professionals, aircrew flight equipment, public affairs that we have to make it happen. And we have minimal equipment, minimal support. And so we have about 30 Pelican cases that we travel with, whether we're driving or flying to a show. And that's all the equipment that these men and women have to keep these jets safe and flyable for the show. And they do some miraculous things to keep these jets going. So it's a phenomenal team, and it really is that agile combat concept in action each and every week with this team.
You know, it's so funny that you said that, because agile combat. That's the cool thing about being at an air show and the pitfall.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yep.
But you know what? I'd rather listen to that sound any day of the week.
Me too.
So, yeah,
Me too.
right, exactly. Yep. You just mentioned agile combat employment. That is a concept that the United States Air Force is really kind of pressing hard. And it's so interesting that you kind of refer to the demo team in that sense, because that is so true. You are picking up and moving around all over the country.
Absolutely.
And now into Canada, elsewhere.
Absolutely.
And being agile, 2 jets.
Right. Yep.
So maybe you can do us a favor and describe why 2 jets.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 jets, we always want to have a spare. And we'll fly, if we have 2 jets that are good to go, we'll vary which jet we fly each day. But we always want to have that spare option, again, because we have that minimal equipment. With the 2 airplanes, with the spare capability, as well as we need another pilot here, and that's our ground safety observer. And so I'm on constant communication with a pilot on the ground, and that's how we build in the mutual support that you would typically have flying in formation of F-22s. So he's there to back me up with any non-standard situation I encounter or any emergency situation. So that extra built-in layer of safety.
Yeah, right on. And just so viewers are aware, that second pilot is not actually part of the. He is not a demo pilot, right? Like you are the one and only demo pilot.
That's right. Yeah, we have a group of safety observers. They vary from week to week. We have about 6 total safety observers from 3 different squadrons. But yeah, for 2 years I get to fly all the demos, and then someone else will take my place. Yep.
Right on. So RaZZ, yeah, tell me about this year's airshow routine, because I believe this is the first year since the inception. That's an awesome sound.
It is. Yeah.
I believe this is the first year since the inception of the F-22 Demo Team where the routine has been changed. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. Something we wanted to do, and your 2-year span as demo pilot, you have to get after it pretty quick because it's a long approval process. But went out to Edwards Air Force Base, worked with F-22 flight test for some changes to the routine. So one of the major changes was our slow speed, high alpha pass. A lot of demo teams do a slow speed pass. We wanted to showcase what's unique about the F-22. We fly ours at 1,000 feet because I always have to have the ability to recover the jet on one engine. So when I'm going about 70 knots, if I were to lose an engine, I have enough altitude to recover on the one good engine, never reaching for the ejection handle. Right. What we changed this year is now I do basically a power loop, 36 alpha loop into that maneuver. So we show some of that vertical maneuvering capability of the Raptor. And the goal is, at the end of that loop, to basically stop the jet. And that's what's unique about the Raptor that other demo teams aren't going to do entering their slow speed pass. So it was all an idea of let's showcase what's unique about the F-22 and its maneuvering capability. We also changed the pedal turn this year. So enter that maneuver faster. At the top of the pedal turn, I do a high alpha loop. And so I'm basically at a hard stop pull and go post stall in the jet. What's different this year is while I'm basically upside down, I feed in a full boot of pedal and I start yawing the jet upside down. The reason we do that is to show that, hey, we can yaw this jet during the high alpha loop, but also results in dramatically less altitude loss as the jet kind of corkscrews and starts that pedal turn, which allows me to do a 360 one direction followed by a 360 the other direction. So showing again capability in a controlled flat spin that other jets really can't do, where we stop that turn and go the opposite direction, which is derived from something we would do in a dogfighting scenario. And then a couple more minor changes. We haven't done it here at Abbotsford yet, but we do a tack pitch 360. So a very low altitude turn where I go post stall momentarily in a tactical pitch away from the crowd, but then just hold that turn and do a full 360, show how tight this jet can turn at slow speeds with that 70,000 pounds of thrust, about 1,000 foot full turn radius there to complete that maneuver, and then power out of it into the vertical. Again, trying to showcase the thrust capability of the F-22. And then a couple of minor changes here and there, but those were kind of the major ones. Yeah.
That's super cool, and it's a beautiful, beautiful performance or routine. But you mentioned how you haven't done one of like part of that full repertoire, I guess, of sequences.
Yep.
So for people that are going to come out and see the F-22 demo team, like how much variability is it? Do you have in your routines, factoring out like a high and low show, depending on weather?
Yeah, we have more variance now, and that was part of the design changes. Again, for things like weather, what aircraft we're flying with our heritage flight, total time that's going to take, things like that. Or we have to factor in for these shows, where's our closest cable divert if we had an emergency. So that changes our fuel planning and what I'm able to do. So it all changes from show site to show site, and it's great for our team because now we have the ability to adjust based on that show site and all those variables. We can do basically our full high show with a 3,000 foot cloud deck, which is nice. Gives us a lot of ability to do that high show at more locations. And then, vary it up. I will stick to the script in terms of sequence, but now we hit post-heritage flight or post-demo, we've got a little more wiggle room of what we can do. And again, it all depends on the location, fuel, things of that sort. So.
Right, and you just kind of mentioned it, you know, a divert for a cable. Here at Abbotsford, they don't have that, but you've got Whidbey Island fairly close, so I believe that's your divert.
Absolutely.
For this one.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people probably don't realize that the F-22 does have a cable, or sorry, a hook, but
it
it's
does.
just, you know,
it's tough to see. Again, going back to that stealth design, captive hook that's just at the rear of the aircraft. But yeah, if we needed it, we would deploy that hook and take an approach in or departure in cable at a field. That would be many layers of emergencies where we're having to do that.
Right.
But we always plan for it, for the worst case.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Well, that's the reason why you're a professional pilot, right? You got to plan for every contingency. So now let's just have a quick chat about the F-22.
Yeah.
If you don't mind pointing out some of the unique features to the jet and what makes it such a capable fighter that separates it apart from.
Absolutely.
What separates it apart from things like the F-18 that's flying around?
Yeah, you bet. So 5th generation fighter, talking about stealth, you'll notice the jet looks a little different with the angles, all very deliberate. The whole jet, external, internal components designed to maintain that stealth profile. Everything's carried internal on the jet, and the whole jet's coated in radar absorbent material to reduce our cross section as much as possible. So extremely stealthy. We have sensor fusion, so sensors embedded all throughout the jet, working together at all times and presenting all this information to me in the cockpit, which was another new concept. In addition to that, we have super cruise, so the ability to go faster than the speed of sound without using an afterburner. With those engines, we have exceptional thrust in the Raptor. So 70,000 pounds of thrust in afterburner, able to go Mach 2 and 60,000 feet. And then super maneuverability. So looking at the jet, the flight control surfaces on this jet are massive. And we also are the only jet in the U.S. arsenal that has thrust vectoring, fully integrated into the flight control system. So for me, I have throttles, stick, pedals. The jet flies very intuitively, even at extreme angles of attack. But everything I do is going right to a computer, and it's figuring out what flight control surfaces to move. So we don't really have any autopilot, everything's pilot input, but that computer is making very, very quick assessments and movements of those flight controls to produce the effect that I'm requesting. So you put all those things in and you have a very capable air-to-air platform beyond visual range. And then as we move to within visual range, an extremely capable platform. And with the internal weapons capability, in those main weapons bays, we can house 6 air-to-air missiles. And we can also put 1,000-pound JDAM bombs in there, as well as small diameter GPS-guided bombs in that main weapons bay. On the side weapon bays, we have 2 AIM-9X heat-seeking missiles. So typical air-to-air loadout would be 8 air-to-air missiles. And then on the right shoulder of the aircraft, we have an internal gun, fires 20mm rounds, 6,000 rounds a minute. So again, very capable jet beyond visual range and within visual range if we have to get into a dogfight.
Yeah, right on. The jet right behind you, you picked it up from Elmendorf. It's in Alaska.
Yes, sir.
It's based in Alaska, and or attached to that wing. What block jet are those? Because these are combat coded jets.
They are, yes, sir. So these are Block 30 F-22s. Again, varies from week to week what we get, but yeah, these jets minus the munitions are 100% ready to go for combat.
Yeah, right on. So you mentioned flying at like 60,000 feet. That's one of the higher altitudes that a air-breathing jet can get to.
Yep.
What's the highest you've gone? Just because that perspective has got to be different, because a lot of fighters are kind of 35, 40,000 feet. You know,
absolutely.
Around there.
Absolutely. The F-22 can get up there quickly, and that's what I think what sets it apart and how easily it gets there. I've been up to 60,000, see the curvature of the Earth. It is the jet is a remarkable high-fast flyer, and so that's a great capability of the F-22.
tell me a little bit about your operational history as we close out this chat, Rez, because it's wonderful that you're a demo pilot. You're showing off the jet. You're showing off the jet to the public, which is wonderful. But these are warplanes, and I'd love to know kind of where you've deployed to, and as I look at it, I just also have to ask you about the big heads-up display, and I think you've got Jehevits as well, or maybe you don't. I'm not sure in the F22 if you guys have.
Yeah, not at this time.
You don't have
just a standard helmet. We do rely on that heads-up display.
Yep.
Phenomenal. Again, the PVI of the F22 between the information that's displayed on your screens and the heads-up display works very well, but no Jehevits at this time. As far as my operational background, I went through Tyndall for the basic course prior to the hurricane. Just over 3 years in Alaska in the 525 Fighter Squadron, and the 27 Fighter Squadron at Langley prior to demo. And then in that time, flew this jet all over the world. So all throughout Indo-PACOM, Europe, and the Middle East. F-22 squadrons are on the road quite a bit. And so right now we have 2 squadrons deployed, 1 squadron on its way back from Red Flag, so on the move a lot.
In one way, that's frustrating. In another way, it's super cool. Right?
Yeah.
When we're doing something like this.
Absolutely.
But before I let you go, just got to ask, what's the best thing about flying this jet?
I can answer that 2 ways. Best part about being on this team, the F-22 Demo Team, we love getting to share this aircraft. Flying the demo is phenomenal. Getting to work with the men and women on this team is the best part of the job. We've got the best folks in their respective career fields on this team. And the fact that we get to travel all over the world, making it happen with what we've got, it's just been a phenomenal experience for me. I've loved getting to work with them. I'm proud to call them teammates, and we love getting to share that inspiration with folks. And that's our whole goal when we come out to these shows, is for folks to set goals for their life and hopefully pursue them relentlessly. As far as flying the jet for my whole career of flying the F-22, I've been biased and spoiled my whole time because it's really all I've flown.
Right.
But it is a remarkable jet, and I try to never take that for granted. Just how amazing the engineers and the folks who developed this airplane, the work they put in to make this such a capable platform, and then just from a pilot standpoint, not thinking about the tactics, it's just such a joy to fly this airplane. The way they designed it from the cockpit, and how the jet maneuvers, really feel like you can do anything you want in this jet and not get in a bad situation because it's just such a great airplane. So.
Right on. I love it. Oh, hey, Raz, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
My
It's
pleasure.
been an absolute pleasure to get to meet you, to see you fly. It's been a pleasure to see your team and how you guys are representing the United States Air Force. And I guess I should also add that here you're also celebrating Canada's 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Air Force. So it's just awesome to have you guys up here because Canada is part of NORAD,
Absolutely.
A binational command.
Yep.
So yeah, all one team, right?
Absolutely, and it has been a thrill for us to be here. Here in Abbotsford, my first trip, phenomenal air show, and we do work hand in hand. And we have Canadian fighter pilots flying F-22s with us in Alaska, so that's just great for us to get to share this with the public, what we get to do together.
Yeah, and for those listeners to our podcast, which is the same title, Go Bold with Jody Atariwala, you'll be able to hear the Canadian F-22 pilot, current F-22 pilot, and we will also feature RaZZ in a future episode as well, so look out for those. RaZZ, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.